And there we go. Rev Wayne Stills, Audsie, this mic is all yours.
Hey buddy, how you doing? What's happening? Oh, wait, did I can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yep, you're
Okay,
good.
good. Hey, what's going on? This is River Wayne Stills. What's going on? How are you? I'm gonna get straight to it today with Audsie. I don't have a song for you. I just want to get straight to the book because we have a lot to get through. So I figure we just get straight to it. So Audsie, whenever you want to put the book through, I'm ready for you. We're doing Anxiety to Love by Corinne Zucco, and it's a wonderful book. It's an approachable book where we explore our inner guide or our inner teacher, inner therapist, as she puts it. And it's a book helping us move from anxiety, from ego to Christ, to love, to a peace, to inner peace. And it's wonderful. And I hope you listen in and you go out and buy the book and you read the book again and again. So I'm ready to go. So one of you are Audsie. How you doing, Audsie? Everything all right? All good?
Oh, yeah, it's all good, Rev Wayne. All
Yeah,
good. How are
good.
you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well so far. It's only Tuesday of the week, but my week so far is going pretty well. Yesterday with Lynn and now today with you, so it can't be so bad.
Oh, wow. You're
Hmm.
you're you're definitely rolling in the good then. If
That's
it's
right. I'm
Lynn and then me, wow.
rolling in the good. That's a good name for a book. Rolling in the good.
There you go. And I see your picture is absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
I
that.
finally figured out a way to. I finally figured out how to. Basically, in order to make it work, it has to say something on it like JPEG or something. You can't say a web thing.
No, it can't say web. It's got to be a picture, JPEG, or a ping,
Right,
PNG.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So
you
that was
got
that.
it.
I finally found the JPEG is easy now. I know how to do it. So I just found that, and then most of the ones I've been doing are too big. This was the only one that fit.
Yeah, it's got to be a specific size. So you got
Yeah,
it.
so yeah,
See,
I found that
it's
one.
all good. It's
So that one
flowing.
fit. It was nice.
Everybody's figuring everything out. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
slowly but surely, we'll be we'll be able to do that. Anyhow, I'm ready. So good morning, everyone. By the way, it's well, actually it's good afternoon today. Actually, for all of us, I guess, at least for me. Although I think it might be still morning for Audsie, right?
Yep, still
All right.
morning
So
for me.
good morning to you. All right. So you're ready. You want to start reading?
Yeah, I even bookmarked it and
I see
highlighted it
it. I
this
see it.
week.
Yeah.
So
Thanks a
here
lot.
we go. We can
Okay.
say we'll start right up here. The ego might tell you that you need to win tons of shiny tokens in the boardwalk games in order to be happy. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does say wackadoodle things. Your inner therapist will tell you that winning or losing those tokens doesn't define who you are, and your safety doesn't depend on winning. When the roller coaster breaks down and you're stuck in midair, the ego will tell you you're vulnerable and should be terrified. Oh, those roller coasters. You know, they took that the roller coaster out of West Edmonton Mall here in Edmonton. It's that huge mall we have. And we had that mind bender.
And what
And
happened? Was there an accident?
oh, there was years ago, but they revamped it. I mean, I think it was three people died because the cart the end cart cab came loose and flew off the rail and slammed into one of the cement cylinders.
Good
So
Lord.
they only had a bar that came down to your down, like just click down, but then they did it with the shoulder pads and all that. Because when I went on it before it got fixed, I just got whipped around. I remember there were two circles. I couldn't lift my head. I had like snot. My head was into my chest. I had snot coming down. I couldn't I
That's a
couldn't
lot of fun,
lift
man.
my head
Nothing
off.
more.
Oh, it was the worst experience ever. And
Yeah,
and reading
I've
this is
I've had
scary.
nothing. I've had nothing but fun on roller coasters. To be honest with you,
Oh,
I've had nothing. I mean, I've had the greatest time in the whole world. It's not like I look at roller coasters and say, "Oh yeah, I can't wait." But I've never had a bad time on. I've never had a scary time or a disgusting time.
yeah.
I've never had anything like that happen to me. I've had a more normal time on roller coasters. I mean, I'm not one of those people who lift their arms up. I mean, metaphorically, I understand that. But I'm not on the actual roller coaster. I don't do that because
Yeah.
I don't. I have a desire to, but I admire people who do. I think it's kind of cool, and I've never had any major problems. I just don't. I'm not. As far as rides are concerned, I'm not a big ride person, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not anymore
I
either.
used to when I was younger. I used to really like it. The idea of it made a lot of, but even then, I kind of like the bumper cars because I get to sit down and ride around a little, and that was about it. There wasn't so many that I looked forward to, and I hated the ones that made you sick. I got sick very easily.
Oh, yes.
Going around in circles and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I did throw my hands up on the little kiddie roller coaster, the one that
More of
just did a little loop.
yeah,
I
that
was
worked for
able
me.
to do it then.
Uh,
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
all right.
So, yeah, your inner therapist will remind you to think of the experience as an opportunity to trust that you are safe no matter what the circumstances. When you eat too much cotton candy and get a bellyache, like the kids, Lynn, and get a bellyache, you will use that as evidence that you must be a body. Repurposed through your inner therapist, the bellyache becomes an opportunity to learn that you are not your body.
Yeah, it reminds me of like whenever I used to go past the graveyard and I got all bummed out because I was saying, "Oh, we all die, we all die." My father used to always say that the business never goes out of business. This person never loses, never goes under. And I used to always get bummed. I used to always think it was, it's too bad. And it's always a reminder that we die. But now, it's a reminder that we don't die because I look at it as a hoax. Whenever I see it, I'm reminded what a hoax. There's no one there. There's no one under there. The body,
Wow.
those are just bones. I mean, there's no one there. It's just a hoax. It's just there to remind. It's the ego's way of trying to get me bummed out every time I see it. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And whenever I see it, I'm reminded of what the ego's trying to do, and that reminds me that he's doing that because it's not true.
Wow. That's
And so now
amazing.
it's like the cross. The cross was an ancient death penalty, but you see the cross, you think of Christ, you think of overcoming, and it's the same thing I think about when now I see the graveyard. I think of overcoming death as opposed to death and burial.
Oh, I love that turnaround, Rev Wayne. That's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
sounds like what
That-
he's saying. She's saying here.
yeah,
Really, it becomes an opportunity to learn that you are not your body.
that's so beautiful.
So the ego did nothing.
Because the ego belief was made out of our feeling guilty for seemingly separating from our source. It isn't capable of satisfying us. It is only capable of delivering dissatisfaction. For example, think of the last time you wanted something like a new car, a new job, a new relationship, or a new outfit. Once you finally attained it, did it sustain your happiness? Did the thrill of retail therapy or binging on chocolate cake make you permanently joyous? Nope. You may feel short-term happiness, but it doesn't last. Anything the ego tells you that you need ultimately will not satisfy you. The ego is not the voice that wants to make you truly happy. That's so well written there.
Yeah, very clear, very clear.
Yet the ego voice is really compelling. Recently, I had a very unpeaceful encounter with a friend and former colleague, Terry. Throughout years of working together, we had exchanged many personal stories and developed an affectionate relationship. Yet my file of judgments against Terry included the belief that she tends not to take responsibility for her actions. During a phone call, we were discussing a recent event in the news related to drug use. Terry said something that seemingly contradicted a story she had previously shared with me.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. With quote unquote good intentions, I decided to point out that there was a discrepancy between what she had said then and what she was saying now. Here's how the phone conversation went. Terry said, "I have never done drugs in my life and I never would." But you told me a year ago that you had tried something with some friends, I responded innocently, but quite sure of myself. Terry exploded. How dare you? I never said that. She yelled in a very loud and adamant voice. I never said that. You are a horribly judgmental person. You should be ashamed of yourself with your holier than thou attitude. I immediately felt my body tense, my stomach tighten, and agitation flood my veins. What is happening? I asked myself. You're a liar, Terry continued angrily. You're taking something I said and twisting it around. You're so judgmental. The ego in my mind rose up to defend myself as the innocent victim of these accusations. Yet I recognized dimly that Terry felt she was the victim of my words. Where did this leave me? In righteous indignation, of course. In my head, the ego was screaming, defend yourself. You were only trying to help Terry look at herself. You were being wrongfully accused. Fix Terry's perceptions because they are wrong. Sorry, I'm sneezing.
No sneezing.
Pardon me, I was able to mute so you didn't have to hear that. Woo! My brain blew. But I knew where defending myself and attacking Terry would lead because I've gone down this road many times before. In other words, when I give my allegiance to the ego, I end up with a closed cycle of attack and defense with no way out. My defenses would always justify my position, making me right and anyone else wrong. For instance, I might say, Terry, you're the one misperceiving because you are not remembering correctly. Whenever this negative cycle is in control, I'm left feeling angry and utterly without peace. I knew I didn't want to attack back, even though I was already feeling the urge in my heart. What to do? I knew that there was no way of finding true resolution by argument. Any attempt to fix Terry's perceptions would just keep the ego's games going. My job was to be willing to allow the love in me to join with the love in Terry, even though the ego in me wanted to clash with the ego in Terry. Terry was asking me without knowing it to listen to my inner therapist instead of the ego, because there was no other way out of this situation. Despite the ego's firm objections and the habitual desire to attack back, I was willing to give it a try. One of my favorite quotes came to mind. Do you prefer that you be right or happy? That's from A Course in Miracles text chapter 29. I want happy, please. Still feeling angry and hurt after we hung up the phone, I turned to my inner therapist. I have no idea what to do. I don't want to react from ego and be right, even though the pull to defend myself and attack is strong. I'm really upset. Help! In response to this inner plea, only 5 words came up for me. I love you, and I'm sorry. So in an email, that was all I conveyed to Terry. In this situation, I listened to my inner therapist instead of the shrieking ego. And then I considered that perhaps I had hired Terry to give me this opportunity to choose for healing. When I spoke to Terry next, the shift was palpable. I'll get it. It was as if we were both lifted above the battleground. Terry said that she understood I had not meant to hurt her, and she seemed to let go of her interpretation of the situation, as I had been willing to let go of mine. Terry's perceptions changed not because I proved her wrong, but because I had turned my inner therapist as my guide, because I had turned to my inner therapist as my guide instead of the tempting ego. Although Terry did not admit that she had experimented with drugs, I sensed that she had a lot of guilt attached to this issue and wasn't ready to go there, hence the explosion. I realized it was not my job to correct Terry from my ego. If I see failings in Terry's ego, it's only because I'm seeing through my own ego. And that's from A Course in Miracles text chapter 9. And that brings us to the end of that section.
Yes, and that was a good section. Very well read, of course. And what do you think? Anything before we move on to the next one?
It's pretty clear, and I could hear Pat Benatar singing Love is a Battlefield as soon as Above the Battleground came up. So
yeah. Well, yeah, that's a
that's
a good concept in the course, Above the Battleground. Kind of just above the noise of the dream, above the everyday negativity of everything, just kind of float above it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in the seriousness of the world completely, and try to stick to what's right. And she points out very well how she kind of gave in instead of trying to prove herself right and stick to that game of me versus you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She had the idea of she was more of her versus her own ego, and not letting her ego dictate the actions.
Yeah.
And then keep her in the battle, keep her in the attack mode. But instead, just saying, heck with it, I'm going to say, I'm not going to attack, I'm not going to defend. I'm just going to say, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. And I love you, and it's all good. So don't worry about a thing. And that disarms the person. Makes that person think about the same way. Or maybe it won't, but so what? It's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's over. The battle's over.
Wow.
And if you have to be careful, I try to with my daughter sometimes, but she just get pissed off. If I walk away in the middle of a fight, so I have to be careful. He doesn't really mean it. It has to come from a real place. Otherwise, someone might call you on it. The thing he just means fake and walk away just so you don't shut the person up. You can't. It's not like you're trying to shut the person up. He's like you have to really, you really just want to. You have to let go of that ego and try to love the person. And the quicker you do it, the better, because it's harder as you get angrier and angrier and angrier.
Oh gosh, yeah.
To suddenly see peace in the middle of a fight, that's hard.
Yeah.
And I've tried it. And as soon as it's harder than other times, suddenly in the middle of a fight, you go, all right, I'm peaceful now. I'm seeing peace. And to change your point of view in the middle of a fight when you've been fighting for a point of view. That's why it's hard you don't want to always defend your point of view. So much so that you can't give it up even if you want to. Because a lot of times it's better to be wrong, but if you're so into your own point of view, why would you want to admit you're wrong especially if you're winning?
Yeah. Right.
And this and that, I won this argument. I'm gonna win the next 10 arguments. I'm up 10-3,
Love that. Got your stats rolling, eh?
Exactly. So what's the point of giving out and saying that, heck, I'm not gonna fight anymore if you're fighting well?
Yeah.
According to the rules of physicality and so forth.
It occurred to me, Rev Wayne, as you were talking here about this last passages, I saw in this mind, one of the images of your Easter program with Jesus rising. He's rising up in the clouds.
Oh yeah.
And I had this integration of that meaning consciousness.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't his body going up. It was his consciousness not needing to defend. That was what was rising within him.
Of course.
Yeah, wow.
Well, of course. I mean,
it's awesome to have that just right here, right now, that happening. It was felt. It was, this, it was just absolutely gorgeous. So
Oh yeah, I
I
agree.
just, beautiful. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean the thing about that moment, I mean, the story is that he's raised literally, physically, but the little meaning behind that is that his mind expanded. That's how I look at it. His expansion of his own mind into our hearts, into our story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his expansion of his own consciousness, and he moves up in consciousness and up and higher until he expanded his consciousness to such an extent that he was able to lose his ego
Yeah.
and move into into the stories of humankind, and help us move to where he is. And so that was that moment where, you can take it first, see it for what happened. He moves up, and then you can feel that metaphor in
Yeah.
our show, the metaphor of him moving up in consciousness, and you can do so. And then when you feel the metaphor, you're moving up with him.
That's so beautiful. Wow.
And then so he's helping you move up above the battleground, which is what he did in the story, which is just story, but everything's a story. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And that story helps you move up in consciousness through the story in your story.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Wow.
one story helping your story, and his story becomes our primal story.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to read it, as long as you know to let it turn you into just another way to fight battles.
Into a cock-a-doodle-doo.
Well, yeah, you don't want to turn it into just another way to hurt people, which is what a lot of people
Yeah.
use spirituality for, or religion at least. All right, so you want me to read next?
Yeah, you take her.
Listening to your inner therapist. All right. You might now be asking, how do I hear my inner therapist? How do I distinguish between the voice of the ego and the voice of my inner therapist? This takes practice, and we'll explore some ways to do it. I have worked with many people who have felt paralyzed in making decisions because they were unsure whether their guidance was coming from the ego or from their inner therapist. But ultimately, you don't have to worry about figuring it out. As long as you are willing to consistently turn to your inner therapist, you can be certain that any ego that is present will gently fall away as you are ready to let it go. The more you do this, the better you will become at distinguishing between those two voices. That's very helpful to know, right? Because all we have to do is really want to lose it, want to let it go, and desire to know and to grow in love, and love will take care of it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. In my experience, the voice of the ego is any thought that is judgmental or fearful, or has a negative sense of urgency to it. Like, you better do this now or else. I have a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. Any sense of have to. Because anytime you have a thought in your head that says, I have to do this, or I got to do that, or I better do this, I say to myself, well, God can't do it the other way. If I say, I better do this, I better do that, I say, well, God can take care of it if I don't do that, right? If I say I got to get a job to make money, I have to get that job. That I audition for a part. I have to get that part if I'm going to make it. Well, I can't get me work if I get another part, or if I don't get that part. Of course he can.
Yeah.
God can bring me wealth if I'm sitting on my back porch looking at the stars.
Yeah.
He can bring the wealth to my door, so I don't have to do anything. I need to do nothing.
I need do nothing.
Because I have that out of my thing. I mean, that's exactly what's being said here. The more you do this, the better you become as some therapist.
Well, I love that I took it up a level. I know you do this, you better do this now or else. I actually found I was going through some papers and I found some contracts I wrote out for my kids when we got pets, and it said, they had to sign it. It was this, if I don't, look after this, mom is giving the dog away. I'm just like reading it and I was like, holy shoot. I really was just, they weren't gonna do it. It was setting them up to fail. And then I look like an idiot because I'm not following through with that.
Right.
I'm not going to give away the animal that I'm the one that's caring for it anyway, really. So it was, I look back, I just shook my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I said, cock-a-doodle-doo there.
Yeah, well, you
So
know.
crazy,
Well,
hey?
kids will make you do sort of strange things, yeah.
Yeah, so
Especially
yeah.
when you're in it, man. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like the part over here where it's like, you better do this now or else. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we put on people. We put it on ourselves the most, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We put it on ourselves the most because we think we have to do things. We have to do that. You feel you have to do what you did, so you put it on them. You have to do what you have these things, or else we're not going to. And that's how we created our whole world. We had to do this world. We had to hide from God. We had to get away from Him. We had to make this world. We had to do this, or else we would never get anything we wanted out of life.
Mm.
And we had to be better than God. We had to become God. We had to become just like Him. We already had everything. We had everything. We had absolutely everything, but that
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
Isn't that funny? Wow.
We needed more than everything. And since we couldn't have that, we had to pretend we could have it. And now we're here pretending that we could have everything, more than everything,
Yeah.
which is insane. All right. So it makes you feel unworthy and it limits your sense of self to a body because the ego always speaks first. It grabs most of our time and attention. But the good news is that your inner therapist does not speak first, but he always answers. The voice of our inner therapist is very quiet. So quiet that it's easily drowned out by endless distractions of the world. The voice is a loving and gentle teacher, and I experience not as words or sound, but as a feeling, a lightness of the core of my being. Although the body is not our true reality, it can be used as a communication device once we give it the purpose over to our inner therapist instead of our ego. That means that we actually sense the voice of the inner therapist in our own body. It's interesting.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah.
Give it over to your inner therapist. Give it over to the inner therapist. Give it over to your inner spirit. I usually listen for that voice. And it sounds kind of silly, but I listen to the voice of my father.
Ah.
Because usually he's giving me some advice, very, very terse, quick advice. I don't listen for monologues, but very small ones. Keep going. Get back up, kid. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
So it really are. It's similar. It really is going for feelings. It's just the feeling of my father speaking to me more than anything else. Yeah.
I love that.
Anyhow,
I
we have
love that, Grandpa.
this is activity next, right?
Yeah.
Okay. To lean into the guidance in your body. Do I read?
Sure. So it's going to be a meditation from Corrine's friend and teacher, John Mark Stroud. Oh, I remember hearing about him. He does movies, something about movies, I think. He has movies to enlightenment or something. I'm thinking. I don't know. He suggests that the voice of the ego and the guidance of our inner therapist communicate through two different channels, like different radio stations. We tune into the ego's channel all the time, but we are just as capable of tuning into our inner therapist's channel instead. We can practice tuning into our inner therapist's guidance through the following exercise. I highly recommend that you listen to the version in my podcast with John Mark should we listen to it?
I don't. It depends how long it is. I mean, if it's 25 minutes, we can. But if it's a couple of minutes, I don't see why not.
Okay,
well, it is right here.
Oh, yeah, true.
It says it here. We can read that.
Well, yeah, we can read
you
it.
might as well we can check it out. I don't know how long it was. We can check it out, though.
Okay, well, I clicked it. It's not pulling up here right away. So, yeah, here. But it's a whole podcast, so we don't know where it is.
No, we'll just read it. She has it. She has the whole thing right here.
Okay. All right. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Pay attention to how your body is feeling. Then say to your inner therapist, please direct my attention to the place in my body where I can most easily attune myself to your guidance. Pause and see where your attention goes. Wherever your attention landed in your body, release that place and then repeat. Inner therapist, please direct my attention to the place in my body where I can most easily attune myself to your guidance. Pause, then repeat the request a third time. Identify the part of your body where your attention goes. Tune in to this place in your body when you want guidance. If you begin to lose that contact, repeat the exercise to see whether your point of focus has shifted. Have fun with this and be patient. It takes practice to tune in to your inner therapist.
All right, that's kind of cool.
Where do you feel it?
I felt it more in my torso area. That area a lot, in my hands, my arms. I felt it more, and it's sort of in that area. It's where I tend to feel a lot of energy kind of show. And then I release it. One of the things I think of is in terms of someone said that a lot of the energy should be seen as waste. And like always, it wants to leave.
Nice.
So like it's not anything negative about it. You're not pushing it out. You're just letting it go. You're forcing it out. It's not like he wants to stay. It's just this
I like to think of it as letting it pass through rather than putting up the wall. Like I'll feel like I used to feel in my mind, and then I could see it, a wall. I could hear it. First, I could kind of feel it. Then I could see it in my mind. Then I could hear it even being built. When I would like just be put a stop. It could be anything. It could be technology. I'd be working with something, and I would have to. I didn't know how to do format something, and I would just freeze, and this wall would literally build in the mind. It was absolutely fascinating to see this way it came up, and then of course just become a story, right?
Right. Yeah.
and really I knew the inner therapist's voice there. Like it wasn't hard to re-recognize it at all. Like Dove says that re-remembering or something. Somebody says something, and it was like re-remembering it because the memory, that feeling is there. It's already there.
Remembering God is what we're here to do, sort of remembering what we once were, where we came from.
Yeah.
Where we are, where we actually are. It's just really what way of putting it. So we're sort of like the Star Trek ones where the guy was a projection of himself. So he wasn't really there. It wasn't him speaking to you. You were speaking to a projection of himself. He was outside the room. And so he said to the guy, I'm not really here. And then he laughed and he goes, well, I'm here because you're talking to me. But I'm not, he said, but I'm not really here. I'm outside projecting. I'm a projection of myself. I'm not really here. I'm not. So sort of like that. We're not really here, but we are because we're talking to each other. So I mean, this table in front of me is not here. But if I wasn't, there's something here, because I'm talking about something, right? I won't be talking about this table if there was something here. But the nature of the table is different than I think. Yeah. So when you hit this therapy, when you hit your part of your body, that you feel when you feel the energy in your body of where you take it to a different place. You're allowed to raise your consciousness above the battleground. And you do that by allowing it to the energy to release. And you need to let it go. It's like I think it was Watson was like dropping a pen. You got a pen and you put it in your hand, and then you tighten it up, and it feels like it's a part of your hand, but it's not. So you let the feeling go by dropping the pen.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah. You also the course it said just forgive it. I forgive whatever comes up. Very often the picture comes up if I feel something in my body, if I feel a certain feeling in my body, there's a story in that feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if the story is of a battle that I'm in, I'll forgive the battle for that. I'll forgive the specifics for not happening.
Mm.
Whatever the specific is. If the story comes up with me getting in a fight with my wife, and that's where that feeling comes from, I'll say I forgive my wife for not doing what she did.
Yeah, yeah.
And that clears everything up. All the cobwebs get cleaned up. I forgive myself for not getting angry against the person, even
Yeah.
though the picture has me yelling. I forgive myself
Well,
not reacting in anger, not yelling at the person, not yelling at my wife, not losing my temper. I forgive myself for not losing my temper. I forgive myself for doing what I didn't do. And then it clears it up because then I realized I didn't do that. God didn't make me to make that scenario. And you do that enough, you begin to see things correctly, and so you're above the battleground.
yeah, beautiful. Because at first I couldn't see that leap because I was in the ego, obviously, and doing that leap made me feel like I was denying what was happening, but that's actually what I'm doing. But
Yeah, well,
I
it's
was,
denial. It's using the denial in a healthy way.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't see that until I could see it, obviously. You can't
Yeah,
see something till you see it. And there's no
no,
point in beating somebody with the facts.
no, no,
With these pointers, if it's not seen.
right.
That's insanity too. Really, that truly is. You gotta do that, let go,
Oh,
that
sure.
fall first too, that trust fall.
Yeah. Well, so she said what she did with her friend when she said, "I love you." And she let it
Yeah.
go. She let it go. She didn't. She trusted love. She trusted peace. She trusted goodness, and she didn't care about right or wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she even in the end, she said she never admitted to her that she did the drugs or
Yeah. Right. Right.
but she didn't care. The important thing was that they were friends. Maybe one day she will admit it to her. And that's her business. Well, and yeah, I'm sure in the end, the Koreans didn't care really.
Yeah.
She realized
Yeah.
how unimportant it was. If she couldn't tell her, she couldn't tell her for her own reasons. You
Well, and
know,
we all do that though too.
yeah,
We all are have hypocrite moments where because I could see that in my one sister the most. I could see, oh, you just said that and then now you're saying this and da da
right.
da. But I mean that was obviously you see it outside of yourself before inside of yourself. At
Oh,
least
oh
that's how
yeah,
my experience
oh yeah.
was.
It's so much easier to see in somebody else.
So and then flipping that around and being like, hold on a second, like I do that. Did you think all this time you never did that? Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
I sure
thought
did.
that.
Every fight I have with my daughter, she's wrong.
Yeah,
She has been right
I
once.
know
It's,
better. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true, but that's as far as I'm concerned, it is.
Wow.
I can't conceive of how she could possibly think that she's right. But I assume it's not the case. She feels the same way about her perspective.
Yeah.
And so we argue.
Yeah.
And then at some point during the fight, I said to myself, I'm not going to win this. So I said, forget it. And she gets
Yes.
angry. She gets angrier that I'm quitting the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
so,
love that. I love that when
and so
that
I
happens.
spent a half
Hey.
hour trying to get out of the fight, and then finally it's over.
Oh
But
boy.
that's the problem with staying in a battle. It's too long because trying to get out of it is even more difficult.
Oh wow, that's a good
It's
one.
depending on who you're fighting. So you're better off just immediately figuring out a way to just not, you don't want to make it just looking at a total wuss, so to speak, because then somebody might not want to even get in conversations with you. But you want to be able to see that you're not willing to get into a battle with the person.
Yeah.
So if the person knows that, I mean, even in conversations, you can just skip over the negativity in the person and make it obvious that you're doing it. If I say to you, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Audsie? I hope you had a good day. By the way, you kind of You kind of a pain in the ass in this here and this and so, anyhow, it was good seeing you
Yeah.
today. You usually reply back. Oh, thanks for seeing that. Thanks for saying it was good to see me today. And never reply at all to the comment that was negative.
Right.
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
And make it clear that you're obviously you're ignoring it because it stood out among everything that I said. So if you ignore it, it'll be clear that that's what you're doing, and then eventually I won't say anything negative to you because you never respond to it.
Oh, beautiful.
All you do is
Beautiful.
respond positively to the things I said that were positive.
Yeah.
But most people don't come out and just say negative, something negative and hang up or walk away. They'll say a few positive things and then maybe one, two negative things. If they want to say something negative, they'll couch it in positivity.
Yeah.
So you respond to the positivity and not to the negativity, and you make it pretty obvious. You don't try to hide it. You just do it.
Oh, I love that.
And then eventually, what you do is you're responding to the light and loving them, and you're letting go of the negativity that they try to heap on you. And what happens is that they eventually realize that every time I bring up negativity to that person, they never respond to it.
Yeah.
And all they do is respond to the good stuff that I have in that, and it's like ridiculous. I guess I'm just like, I'm not gonna do anything anymore. I'll let it go.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that
not
person's like, yeah, what do they have? So then, especially if it's the text,
Yeah.
then you never have to respond to the negativity.
Exactly. Right.
You can just read what they say and respond to the positive stuff and leave the other stuff out. And they'll be so confused. Yeah, they won't know what to do with that. They'll be like, what's going on here, man? I just spent 10 minutes reading them out, and all they did was thank me for saying love John. Thanks for the love.
Perfect. What love? What?
You said love John. I figured you
Yeah.
love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
All right.
awesome. Okay.
We have 15 minutes, so we have more than enough time.
Okay. We'll keep going. You want to read
Yeah, sure. I can also perceive the voice of my inner therapist as thoughts, but they are very different from the loud chatterbox thoughts of the ego. These thoughts often come as inspiration, such as when I ask for help with writing. I ask, I pause, and thoughts come forward. It's very important, that pause. It's a very big deal. I mean, if you can pause in the middle of a fight, usually what happens is your mind moves into it and shifts. That you move to the miracle by pausing. You're angry and you're fighting, and you just take a pause and say, "All right, I'm gonna welcome the anger and I'm gonna let it go." Usually, what happens is another insight comes in. Your mind kind of moves into another area of itself, and shifts into another area, into another place, and another insight, and another. The voice of love kind of moves in quietly, and you hear it. It's almost as if your pause opens up a space for something else to come in.
Yeah.
So if I'm fighting with you, and I was like, I can say something like, I can say something like, I'll let go of the ego and allow love to come in.
Yeah.
Or I can see peace instead of this. Something to give you in that pause, just to calm you, calm your nerves a little bit, and then you go and you go. It's helpful because the pause really kind of reminds you that there's another voice behind the loud voice, and it connects you with it.
Yes.
I can also perceive
Beautiful.
the voice of
Beautiful.
my inner therapist, but they are very different. These thoughts often come to inspiration. To strengthen my ability to listen to my inner therapist, I use the game solitaire. I've never played solitaire in my life.
What?
I've never played the game.
Oh my
It never
goodness.
looked fun to me playing cards by myself, so I decided never to play it. And then, of course, it was on digital, and that just never played it. I don't know how to play it. I know nothing about it.
Wow. Cool.
So I'm sure this will make sense. Maybe this makes sense to me. We'll see. When I have to make a decision about a move, my first inclination is to move the card quickly to the obvious spot. However, I practice slowing down the process, inwardly asking for assistance in placing my cards. I sit without making a move until I feel an energy that's brighter, quieter, and more spacious than my initial ego feeling of move the game along, sister. Using solitaire as a listening exercise, I am repurposing the goal of the game from winning to slowing down and simply paying attention. So she's taking the purpose of the game and she's repurposing it. It's sort of like what we do with the Holy Spirit, who gives us another interpretation of the world. You know, I mean, we came here to hide, and we created the world that was not supposed to work.
Yeah.
And we created a world that was the opposite of what we had, which was eternal life and peace. But the Holy Spirit's going to reinterpret it for us as a learning situation, as a school, where we can learn lessons and we can get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's something I say, making a move until I feel the energy is brighter and quieter, more spacious. And using solitaire as an exercise, I am repurposing. That's the word. The goal.
Yeah,
of the game.
repurposing.
The goal of the game. That's what we have to do. You know, what's the repurposing? Turn it into a different game.
Yeah.
Right now, the game of life is how can we screw ourselves? We don't. We play a different game than that one. That's a terrible game. A simple game like solitaire can remind us that every moment we have the power to choose to listen to one of the two voices and make one or two choices. Do we listen to the ego's voice and choose to follow its incessant?
Whoop. What happened?
I have no idea.
There.
Its incessant demand to react or attack, or we listen to the inner therapist's voice and choose to follow its quiet plan of healing and miracles. This is a decision that we have to countless opportunities to practice in the game of life. You know, it's important, this react or attack thing, because when you react and attack, when you attack, we tend to think we're really we're really being causative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're not. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
The word react tells it all. When you're reacting to something, you're not being causative. You're being controlled.
Yeah,
you're reacting
you're reacting.
Exactly. Someone's attacking you, and you're being controlled. Your response is automatic.
Yeah.
So when you choose Christ, responding to what's there, when you respond, when it's real proactively as opposed to reacting, you know, in a non-causative way, just sitting there allowing the moment to carry you along, to just go moment to moment, and whatever happens in the moment, whatever spirituality you happen to end up in, wherever you happen to be, and just go along with the moment to moment competition of life.
Yeah.
You know, then you just reacting to everything, and you are being controlled by everyone else who is a 50-50 chance of being happy.
Yep. Right.
Because you're going back and forth. It's like being on a roller coaster without any like you were on.
Yeah. That's what I was on, exactly, where I couldn't lift my head, the snot coming out. Like, exactly. It was brutal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you listen to the therapist's voice, you can choose to follow, and then you have a choice. And so it's not a reaction. And you're not fooling yourself by attacking and pretending that you're not reacting, but that you're in charge.
So the next time I went on that roller coaster, as that loop was coming up, I threw my head back into the seat so that as I went, that centrifugal force, my head was up. So I learned a lesson, right? And I applied it before before it happened again.
That's good. That means you were not reacting at that point.
Yeah. So, well, I feel like I kind of still was, because I was reacting to what was about to happen.
No, but you responded to it. That was a response, though.
Okay.
I think, listen, when you saw what was there, because remember, when you deny something, you're not denying it's there. You have to look at it. You have to see what's there and respond to it. You're just responding with denial.
I love that.
It's an active response. You can't pretend something's not there and look away from it, because we know what happens then.
It'll just keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're looking at it and you say with Jesus, and you say, Jesus, what's the deal here? And you stare at and you release the negativity, and you release what's not there, and you're left with only the love. That love enabled you to make a choice that will give you a better situation on the
On the ride.
On the ride, yeah, on the ride. But that was when you thought it was thought out. It was when because of what was happening. It wasn't a reaction. I mean, you can call it, words are kind of always for short with words. I mean, you can always call it a reaction, but it was a thought out response to something that was going on. It wasn't your head not being
head not
all that, because all that, remember, is also a reaction. It's also something that's happening unconsciously. You're trying to do battle against the situation by making snot come out of your nose, by doing these things to yourself. This is all you.
Yeah.
We're doing this to ourselves all the time. We are making things happen to our body. So this thing you did on the what the hell is it called? On the roller coaster.
Yeah.
You did to yourself for reasons that you thought that you should be doing it.
Oh my God. And guess what the name of the roller coaster was?
What?
The Mind Bender.
Oh, really? Well, that's what it did.
Is that a hoot or what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Lynn says in the chat, proactive, pre-warned is prepared. So being proactive to it. I was pre-warned before, or I went through it. So I knew the warning was coming, or the warning came. Forewarned is forearmed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you knew it was coming, and you were able to respond in a way. Now, of course, you could have still responded by ego. You could have still said, you could have got angry. You could have been judgmental. You could have been the person who ran the thing and said, you know what you do? This thing stinks, and I'm going to sue. And you could have gone through all sorts of attack mode.
Right.
But it sounds like you didn't.
No.
It sounds like you responded by saying, I'm going to put my head back and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm put my head back.
Yeah, exactly. So you responded by making a choice and then you kind of just rise above it.
And then I chose not to go on the ride anymore because I was like, what am I, stupid? I've already been on it. I'm done. Like, it was so good. It's a great metaphor. Wow.
All right. Maybe we'll see if we can finish this section.
Yeah,
today.
Sure.
And to counter all the guilt that the ego would like to lead us to, our inner therapist has a loving miracle to answer with, a better way that we can choose to follow, even if we have a tiny bit of willingness to listen, only a tiny bit of willingness to listen for it. This option is a choice for love and inner peace that is unshaken by external events. If we follow our inner therapist, we are choosing healing. If we follow the ego, we are choosing to be separate, while willing ourselves to stay in madness.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is stay in madness.
With the snot coming out.
Yeah, that's madness. It's disgusting madness.
It was like the electric shock therapy.
Questions for reflection. In the activity, where did you sense guidance in your body? What might you learn if you mindfully check with this part of your body throughout the day? Well, we can kind of hit on that.
Yeah.
What can you do to remind yourself to pause and ask for guidance when you need it? We spoke about that, the pausing.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. To remind yourself to pause, I think you should pause. So I don't know exactly how you would remind yourself to pause. I guess you maybe put a little string on your finger or something. I don't know. What would your life look like if you listened to your inner therapist instead of your ego? I think it'd be far more peaceful.
Yeah.
I'd be smiling more. The more you listen, the more pleasure you receive. The bigger your ability to receive that pleasure, the more metaphorical cheesecakes you can have.
Oh yeah.
You know how that great you feel after some ice cream? You can feel that without the ice cream.
Yeah. Really? Well, yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Wow.
That's what we're looking for. I actually have a picture I posted once that said, "I wish I can get that feeling of accomplishment without actually accomplishing anything."
Yeah.
And so that's sort of what we want stuff in the external world so we can get the feeling behind it, the energy. Right. That's the energy. We're looking for the energy behind the stuff.
Wow.
Behind the externals. So one day we'll be able to just go straight to that. And the more we follow the Christ, the more we can get that energy, the love, the light of God without having to go through the symbols.
Yes, through the symbols. Wow. Oh, Lynn has her hand up.
Oh, okay. I'm
Jordan.
sorry. I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Linda. Go for it.
Oh, that's okay. I was just waiting for you guys to be done talking there. But you know, what's interesting to me is that you were talking about, you know, how do you know when to take a pause? And the fact is, Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles, you want to know, you know, what's going on. How do you feel?
Mm.
And if you're feeling a certain way, this is when you're supposed to. And you know, what people don't, a lot of folks are not aware that Jesus talks about feelings a lot in the Course of Miracles. And he actually gives us ideas about what to do when we have that feeling, and why we're having that feeling. So, you know, that's, you know, what I always think, you know, if I start feeling even a little bit upset, that's indicate to me right there, oh, stop now.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great.
Pause.
Because it
Yeah.
indicates to me that your thinking is off.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because it means that you're thinking, your thoughts are controlling your feelings in a sense. So it says means your thinking is off. You change your thoughts, your feelings will change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, whether your feelings come first, your thoughts come first, it's kind of debatable. No one really knows for sure, I think. But the one thing is for sure, if you're feeling negative, sad, miserable, then something's off in your thoughts.
Yeah, there's a
So
story running. There's
is
a
that some
story
story
playing.
running?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just, I mean, that's true. That's good. That means, Lynn, you're absolutely right. So that means that if you have a negative feeling, something's a little off, you find yourself sad or bummed out or angry or resentful or any other negative complex feelings, that that's the sign that you have to pause and allow for the higher for the Christ to filter through, for the channel to be opened up, so love to be filtered, you know, and open up to the miracle.
Wow.
So then when any fight you're in is a sign that you have to pause.
Mm.
Because the minute you're fighting with somebody, you're in a negative place. You know?
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that sounds like we're just about out of time. I think we're on 12:31, so I think we'll do well here today.
Yeah, that was great. So next time we'll go into chapter 4.
Yes, mental illness and mental health. Sounds like a good
Yeah. Oh
chapter.
boy. Yikes.
We should have a quote from Alice in Wonderland. We start with next week. So it'll be a good week next week. So come by next week and we'll be moving on to the next chapter. All righty. So thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for listening in, and I hope it was we were helpful. And I'll be back Thursday at 12:30, same time as today. And until then, I love you and peace.
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 Peace. Yes.
Peace.
Peace be unto you, my friends. I
Yes.
love you both.
Love you.
And so grateful for you. So thank you, Audsie. Thank you, Red Wayne. See maybe tonight if you come in at 7 p.m. And I don't know what we're going to talk about.